Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Sarah Walters, and 'tis the season to create new habits. Whether you have chosen this year to eat healthier or lose weight or take better care of yourself or commit to being more present to your life, whatever it may be, this is the time of year where people start to think about who they want to be and start to make daily decisions to help them align with that person that they want to be. And I just want to encourage you in that, in my own way, by letting you know what is actually happening in your brain whenever you decide to create new habits, how that can be so difficult at first, and ultimately why when you stick with something for a long period of time, it gets easier the longer that you do it. So it's fascinating to know that our brains are what we call plastic. Not plastic, but when I say plastic, I mean that our brains have the capacity to change throughout the human lifespan. It's incredible. It's an incredible machine. So we are never stuck the way that we are. We can always grow new connections, and we're never stuck with the brain that we have. We can actually cultivate and grow new patterns, new ways of being, new ways of thinking and feeling. And so I want you to think about your brain. To illustrate this, I want you to think about your brain as like a road network. So every time that you see something or experience something or think something, I'm going to show you on this piece of paper. This is your brain. Anytime that you experience something, your brain goes down a certain road. It's called a neuronal connection. It makes a connection in your brain. It hits different neurons, and these neurons travel a certain path. And the more that you experience this thing, the more that this path is traveled. When you do this enough times, these neuronal connections actually strengthen, and it's easier for your brain to travel this path because it's much more well-worn the more that you do something. As highlighted by my pen going over the same thing, the line gets darkened, right? This is what happens in your brain. So these, my friends, is what we call our habits. It's the things that it's our default way of being, the things that we don't even have to think about on a daily basis. We just think this way, feel this way, make these choices. It's just easy. These are our habits, and it's easy to do it because our brain is used to it. So say you want to create a different habit, right? You start to do something new. It's January 1st. You just tried to create a new habit, but guess what? Your brain goes, I want to go back up here. This is the way I know. And it wants to pull us into this old habitual way of doing things. We say, no, it's January 3rd. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to remain true to my resolution, and I'm going to start making these changes, right? Well, wonderfully enough, the more that you stick to these certain new patterns, new habits that actually bring up a lot of discomfort at first. When you try something new, naturally in your body and your mind, it's uncomfortable. So it brings up a sort of pain in some kind of ways, but it's hard. It's hard to do. It's challenging. It's difficult. But the more that you do it, the more that your brain actually uses this new path as its default path, because it strengthens and it stops using this pathway, and so this pathway actually starts lessening in strength and starts to go away, and it starts to use this new way of being or experiencing the world as its sort of second nature, as its default way of being. Which is great news for us because it takes a little while, but we have the capacity to change our thoughts, to change the ways that we live our lives. We are not powerless, which is great news. And so my encouragement to you in 2019 is to embrace discomfort as you carve new roads, new neural pathways in that brain of yours. Embrace the discomfort that comes with that. And don't be afraid to reach out for help. to tell your friends or your family or your loved ones that you're struggling and you need some support and some encouragement. So I hope this is helpful for you so that you know why it can be difficult to do something new, but how when you stick with it long term, you can change your life. And ultimately, you're changing your brain and you're changing your external world as well. One day at a time, one decision at a time. I hope that your 2019 is full of hope and health and love. Be well, friends.